Hi everyone! Now that you've decided to learn more about Isomalt, you need to know what sort of equipment is needed. So I'll just quickly go through the basic equipment you will need to cook the Isomalt or the hot sugar. So I will be starting with the microwaves. It is essential to have a microwave handy. You don't need a very powerful one to develop 700 to 800 watts. That would be just perfect. But you do need the microwave in order to rewarm the Isomalt. Otherwise, it will take forever to keep putting the Isomalt back onto your pot and rewarm on the pot. I'm not saying it's not possible, but just rewarming the Isomalt on a plate, it will be time consuming. So microwave will be the ideal one to be used for rewarming. Now for cooking, let me show you what you need for cooking. We are going to use heating plate. Now I've got an induction plate here, but you can definitely use a ceramic, electric, gas stove or whatever. The induction plate has got the benefit that all the heat gets straight into the pot, so you can still touch the sides and they are not hot. Your pan will not be necessarily in the danger of burning them on the side, so you will not end up caramelizing this Isomalt very quick. But in case that you don't have an induction plate, make sure that whatever plate or heating source you've got, you concentrate so that the heat goes underneath the pot, not on the side of the pot. You also need a cooking pot, which I will recommend to be made out of stainless steel, because the color of the pot will not be traced onto the color of your Isomalt. Also a stainless steel spoon or a whisk will be fine. Try to not to use the wood or silicone spatulas, as they might contaminate with a bit of a color. You also need a scale to measure up the ingredients. You need thermometer. You don't need two, you only need one. The inserted one will be ideal, as you can get a better reading, a more accurate reading. Now the infrared is more convenient to use, but it will not give you such a good result, because the temperature on the top of the liquid might be different from the one which is deep inside of the pot. So the infrared one is just an option in case that you don't have a handy thermometer. Now I will recommend you to use a silicone mold with small cavities to practically pour whatever Isomalt you've cooked. You pour the cooked Isomalt in here, it gets cold, and then you've got small pieces which you can very easily store away from humidity. And then whenever you want to do a project, you can take as many pieces as you need and rewarm, instead of just having a big chunky block of cold Isomalt. You also need some food grade silicone mats, which are also heat proof. Now I've got clear mats which are heat proof on the side, and I usually use them on cake decorating for storing my rolled out gum paste or fondant. But this kind of mat, it also works when I work with chocolate or Isomalt. I've got baking silicone mats, typical ones you normally use for baking your macarons or meringues. You can also use things like baking trays made out of the silicone. I don't use them for baking, but they are great for rewarming the Isomalt, especially that they've got this frame which just keeps the Isomalt in one spot. So in case that the Isomalt ends up too runny on the microwave, then I don't kind of accidentally spill any sugar, hot sugar, runny sugar on the table. Now in case that you don't have one and you are planning to buy one, I would suggest to get something like this type of silicone mat, which is great for baking roulades. So you kind of get at least two usages for the same sort of equipment piece. Also granite slabs or granite marble table mats, those will be great to protect your working surface in case that you don't have a large marble slab in your kitchen. Those mats will just do. You need to keep yourself safe, so you need some gloves. I will suggest you to get some cotton gloves. They will actually absorb the moisture while your hands will get sweaty, and then also they will protect against the heat, the high temperature. You might also need to look for some special gloves. There are special gloves to buy for maneuvering hot sugar, but the nitrile gloves will be perfect for the job. And they are thinner, so they will be just more comfortable to use while you are maneuvering your sugar. But it's up to you. If you buy the particular ones which are made out for maneuvering the hot sugar, you need to bear in mind they are pretty much looking like the washing up gloves, so a bit chunky, while the nitrile gloves are just smooth and they can just fit your hand much better. Now, to buy nitrile gloves, you only need to look for some like for general use, but you can also get the approved for handling food ones. As long as they are powder free, they are fine. Okay. If you are planning to cook sugar, you need few extra bits. You need a jug, which can be a Pyrex jug or a plastic, ceramic, whatever material is not relevant, but that jug needs to be filled with water. You also need a brush. Make sure that the brush is not sensitive to the temperature, as you will use it to clean the sides of the pot, and obviously if the bristles are melting, that's not going to be good. You also need a sieve. I would suggest to use a metallic one made out of stainless steel and not a plastic one, again because of the high temperature the plastic one might melt, so just to scum the impurities. Now, what usually happens with the sugar, the normal sucrose, is not clean, and then once you start cooking, you will notice there are scums which you need to pick up from the top of the liquid sugar, because if you don't do it, then that kind of dirt, the impurities, will turn up sugar getting crystallized, and you will not be able to use it. Now, if you cook Isomalt, the Isomalt is quite clean, so you don't need those pieces of equipment. What you do need for both methods of cooking the Isomalt or the hot sugar, you need a bowl with some cold water, and you will use that just to plunge the bottom of the pan once you reach the correct cooking temperature. That's actually going to stop the process of cooking, and you will allow excuse me, you will allow the sugar to kind of be used immediately. So you plunge the bottom of the pan into the water. That stops the cooking process, and you will maintain the correct temperature, and you wipe the base of the pot with a dry cloth to make sure that the drips of water will not end up on your hot sugar, as they might get, accident. You might try and get some spots of hot sugar in your hands, so you just need to be super careful.